sisters, we've all turned up the radio to hear Brother Jimmy Lakey, from coast to coast and shore to shore. Now raise your voice. Oh, let us all, Jimmy Lakey, get out of bed. Jimmy Lakey, raise your voice. Jimmy Lakey, Lakey, hey, can't live without it with Jimmy Lakey. Jimmy Lakey.
You know that I'm going to make your day. Do you hear that? I will make your day. Ladies and gentlemen, I have just done that because I have appeared on the camera and you have appeared in front of the screens. And according to the singers, Jimmy Lakey will make your day. You're welcome for that. I should get more thanks for that. I should get more gratitude for that, but I'm used to it. I'm used to the abuse. Again, the redheaded stepchild of, for years there's radio, the redheaded stepchild of broadcast, podcast, and streamcast. I get it, but again, listen to the singers. Let them convince you. I will make your day, and glad to do that in the next 45 minutes to an hour. Glad to have you here. It's Friday, the 9th day of January, year of our Lord, 2026. Cold here in the coming into the Lakey Entertainment Towers this morning. A little frigid outside, very frigid, a little slickery on the streets in some places, but springtime is coming. I was opining that I don't miss the winter, and I'm glad we haven't had much of a winter here in Colorado where this show originates from. And then I remind myself that we're still going to get winter, going to get hammered. The key is just the time frame is going to short. It's going to be compact. It's going to hit us, and then we'll be done, and then we'll be April, May, June, and we should be good. But anyway, glad to have you here on the program. Big stories coming out, waiting on a big breaking news story that could be developing from the Supreme Court of the United States, as they are expected to release some decisions, and some people wonder if their decision on Donald Trump's tariff policies, if that is going to come out. If that happens during this show, we will let you know and give you the breaking news right here. Supreme Court, all eyes are on SCOTUS this morning because SCOTUS is supposed to be releasing some decisions today. They usually do that on Friday. Also, Minneapolis continues to be cold, but also hot. A hotbed for anger, a hotbed for leftism, a hotbed for the pissed off people that want to destroy America by destroying ICE and law and order. And we'll continue to follow that story that develops there. More is becoming known about the person, the lady that was the victim of the shooting, and other angles of cameras are coming out in which she definitely used that vehicle, in my humble opinion, as a deadly vehicle. She actually did hit the ICE officer. Producer Chad has seen the video. I saw the video of another angle that, she bumped him. He went to the hospital. It was a loaded weapon, that vehicle was. And the bottom line is, if you're going to be doing bad things or you don't like ICE, don't threaten someone's life. Make your signs, scream, have your pink hair, whatever you're going to do, and go out there and act like the bat crap crazy leftist libtard that you are. That's fine. But when you start using a several-ton vehicle as a lurching way to stand in the way of ICE, you are putting yourself and other people in danger. So anyway, there's going to be some, I'm sure, further investigation, further comment. And you know what I found this is to be is typical modus operandi. When the left can get a story like this, it gets them back on the aggressiveness with their base. It gets their base ginned up. It gets their donor base ginned up. It gets the Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez base all She got all ginned up there. It gets their base ginned up. What was happening for the last week or so in Minneapolis with the Democrat Party? They were on the defense. They were on the defense about Timmy Waltz and his corruption. The attorney general there is now under heat because maybe he was also corrupt with these Somalia pirates. So all of these stories are coming up for the last week or so. And the Democrats, especially the Minnesota Democrats, the leftist crazies, were absolutely, positively they were under scrutiny, and they weren't on offense. They couldn't say, "Oh, we're a victim of Donald Trump." They were victimized themselves, and so now they find a way. They always do. They always find a narrative in which, when you're putting the spotlight on them and their behavior, when you're putting the spotlight on them and the way they behave and their corruption and all the scandal, they're always looking for a way to say, "But look over here, how bad this is." And so it's fascinating to watch that the left has found this and tried to glom onto this and distract from the corruption of the Somali pirates and Tim Walz there in Minnesota. But that's what they always do. When you're under scrutiny, when your policies suck, when it's not working, your party's falling apart, when all of this stuff has happened, what do? You gin up a riot. You have a George Floyd riot. You burn down cities. They do the Occupy Wall Street, where you jump up and squat and take poops on the hoods of police cars like they did. The Democrats always will try to find a way that they can paint themselves as the victim, and that they're being victimized by Wall Street, victimized by police, victimized by ICE. But always remember what it's distracting you from. What has the last couple of weeks been about? It has been about Democrat corruption, mainly in Minneapolis, and what was the talk up until the shooting happened in Minneapolis, that the FBI has 2,000 plus people there. The clawback of the funds that were going to happen. Minneapolis is going to have to pay these funds back. Also, the talk was we're going to Gavin Newsom's California, and you don't want the spotlight to start falling with everybody paying attention to the spotlight in California. So listen, if the FBI, the Justice Department, is going to come in and start auditing California, could you rioters in Minnesota blow some things up, burn some things down, because our glory boy out there, Gavin Newsom, we don't want him to have any mud on his face. And Timmy Walz, we've already thrown him to the curb. So it's going to be interesting to watch how long they continue to try to gin this up. And not just gin this one up. There was another story. There will be more stories. There's been several stories about people that were using cars as weapons against ICE and ramming vehicles and stuff. So they're going to keep doing this because they want the focus to be on we're the victim and we're fighting for truth, justice, in the American way. And please don't spend too much time looking at how corrupt we have been with tax dollars and Doge, and whether it's back in the Doge days or whether it's this Somalia money there in Minneapolis. So everybody pay attention. It's not generally what they're reporting or what they want you to see. It's what's really happening in the shell game in the propaganda media. And what was happening for the last 2 weeks was not good for the Democrat brand. It was not good for the Democrat base. It was not good for what they were hoping and trying to accomplish. And we hate Donald Trump. It was putting the spotlight on them, and they had to find a way to flip the script so that they could become the victims again. And that's what they're finding out with this story out of Minneapolis. Now, there are some details coming up that she had been trained. This lady, Renee Nicole Good, was part of an ICE watch group, Homeland Security sources are saying, and she had been trained to basically block ICE. She had been trained in this. She had, in a sense, become radicalized. Department of Homeland Security sources say that she was the mother of 3, shot and killed by a federal agent after allegedly swerving her car towards him. Although if you can watch the vehicle, you see the audio videotapes, you can see clearly that it's allegedly. Worked as a Minneapolis-based immigration activist serving as a member of the ICE Watch. Homeland Security sources tell the news that the group aims to monitor, track, interfere, and oppose ongoing federal immigration enforcement operations. The group is present in multiple sanctuary cities across the nation. While the group typically refers to themselves as, quote, legal observers, sources say, some members will often attempt to interfere with federal operations. A mother named Lisa, whose child attends the same school as Goods does, says she was a warrior. She was doing what's right. I know she was doing the right thing. I watched the video plenty of time, but I also know my heart, the woman she was, and she was doing everything right. According to the Department of Homeland Security, Good followed federal agents to 2 other locations prior to the shooting and was blocking the roadway to interfere with ongoing enforcement in the area. Federal authorities are looking into the groups to determine their sources of training and funding. Video circulating online shows an ICE officer approaching Good's stopped SUV, attempting to open the driver's side door before the vehicle drives forward. A second agent standing in front then fires multiple shots at close range. But she was a part of an activist group that I think we just got to call it a domestic terrorist group. These people are there to interfere with law enforcement when you're trying to procure and secure law and order in America, and you're trying to block it. Well, I'm just going to say you're wreaking havoc and domestic terrorism. It's going to be going to be interesting to see how this shapes out. But again, go back to my original theory. All of this is a Democrat Party ruse. They're saying they're really, they're since they're dancing on the grave of this poor lady that's dead now, because they're like, okay, now we have a distraction. Because what has the news been about the last 9 to 10, 15 days? It has been about Democrat corruption, Somalia daycares, Tim Walz, Keith Ellison. Now the roadshow is going to go out to Gavin Newsom and look at the fraud, waste, and abuse that was happening out there with money and funding towards the illegals. And now they have a way to say, oh, no, we're the victims. We're not the bad guys. It's a very, very, very bad thing. All right. Good to have all of you here on the show. Pleasure to be here. Michael Lett's coming up with us in just a moment. Even though the left is going, looky, we're so upset about this. I want to tell you something. If you would like to avoid any kind of a hassle in life, whether it's arrest, detainment, or some tragedy, then when law enforcement, whether you like the law enforcement or not, are out doing their jobs, don't approach the scene and don't come in your vehicle. Matter of fact, I said the analogy yesterday that if I see law enforcement out in the neighborhood somewhere, and I may really want to know what's going on and really want to see what's happening out there, I'm still not going to walk up when the crime scene tape is up, when there's a police action. I'm going to go, what are they doing? What are they doing? Oh, they're picking on my neighbor. I'm not going to. I'm going to stay out of it. Because I'm just going to stay out of that. Because why? There's a time and a place where you state your case, and in active law enforcement traffic stops or something, that's not the time or the place to insert yourself. So there is a member of her family. It's really sad. She left children behind, and that the whole tragedy of it. There is the human side of tragedy, but there is a lesson to be learned for everybody. And I mean this seriously. If you're an activist, if you're a leftist, if you disagree with me, or if you're on my side and you disagree with him, don't be putting yourself in a situation that's going to cause you to die for a cause. I don't think that is a situation that, I don't think she woke up that day wanting to die, but she made a choice. So that's just my encouragement. Everybody out there, be very, very cautious out there. If you disagree with the right, you disagree with the left, use some common sense out there. And unfortunately, when you've been radicalized by the media, radicalized by the Trump derangement syndrome and the mental illness that has ensued, unfortunately, you're not thinking with common sense. But I'm just giving you the common sense. You should do that. All right, these are radical groups that have been interfering. Remember, they had in the state of Colorado where we were trying to round up the Tren de Araguas. Remember the Tren de Araguas that Jared Polis allowed into Colorado? Then the mayor of Denver shipped him out to Aurora, and they're trying to get him. Remember the groups that were following the Department of Homeland Security, ICE, and even the Aurora Police Department. There were these groups out there that were, quote, watching, but they were interfering, and then they were trailing, and they were calling ahead of time. So it's they've been out there, and they're radicals, and they're radical people, and they are sucked in by Trump derangement syndrome or whatever else they have. But be careful out there, kiddos. Be very, very careful. And again, protest all you want. Make your signs. Paint your hair blue. You don't have jobs to go to. Be a keyboard warrior and fire off messages on the YouTube or fire off messages on the Facebook or whatever it is you people like to do. Go do that. But be safe out there, and just know that interfering with law enforcement is not a good thing. All right. Pleasure to be here on the program. I want to bring into the conversation, if I may, our friend Michael Letts, law enforcement expert. He has an organization called investusa.org, investusa.org. Michael Letts, good morning, sir. Happy Friday. Welcome back in.
Well, thank you so much. Good morning to you, Jimmy, and good Happy New Year to all of your listeners. There's a lot going on. What is that challenge, and what opportunities are fixing to transpire in the next few days?
Well, let's talk about this case in Minnesota. Of course, the left gloms onto it today. It was a murder. It was a murder. Watch the video. Have an open mind. You shouldn't have your car there. It's a tragedy for sure, not a murder. But the left gets their talking points and spins it up, and it's part of the Trump derangement syndrome and the mental illness that many of them are driven by, which is sad. It's sad to see fellow brethren and sistren act that way, but that's what they have done. what about these groups? These groups, I know they were trailing cops around ICE when they were in Cops and ICE in Aurora when they're trying to get rid of Tren de Aragua. These are like domestic terrorist groups. They're getting vulnerable young minds, and they're spinning you up and say, you're doing good. You're fighting for a cause. Now get out there and interrupt law enforcement.
They're not even necessarily doing it just, for the cause. I mean, it's destructive. It's destructive to law enforcement. It's destructive to their own lives. And, Jimmy, when you take a look at what's driving this, let's get back to the initial issue. We have probably one of the most corrupt countries in the world. Let's just call it like it is. And that corruption is surfacing. And it's surfacing, all comes up at once. Isn't it an amazing way it works? Once there's a crack in that dam, it just all suddenly collapses, all of it together, that all comes rushing out. And so now the tip of the iceberg that we see in Minnesota is just that, just the tip of the iceberg, the fraud with the daycare issues. We have an internal audit report that shows that's been delivered. Shows that it's probably prevalent in all 50 states, if not all, most of the states. We now have an audit, Jimmy, that shows Ag Blue possibly passing through $1 trillion of illegal foreign money for Democratic candidates. We have 2 lists, one from Ukraine and one from Venezuela, insider lists, that are claiming that our elected officials are on their payroll. And they have the ability to show it. They have the money that's been paid to them. And, of course, it wasn't their money. It was money we gave to various foreign aid programs that they turned around and put back in, gave back to buy influence within our Congress. Sad part about it, Jimmy, I've seen the list. First list that I saw was from the U.S. Senate. It was over 50% of the U.S. Senate. Remember, we only have 100 senators. It was more than 50 U.S. senators on the list. I would say roughly 40 of those, let's just use a number of 50. 40 would have been Democrat, 10 would have been Republican, but there were Republicans on that list as well. So here's the point, Jimmy. You're seeing all the corruption that's coming out. We, for some time, had thought that we had elected statesmen, people who were going to protect the American way, the American values of the American people. Come to find out, well, we were wrong. We elected a bunch of crooks. But they don't want you to know that. So what do? We've got to go after law enforcement, who will be the ones that are investigating this. And we paint them all with the same brush. They think we're all abusive, that you shouldn't give us any respect. If we give you an order, you decide, Jimmy, whether you think it's valid or not. If I tell you to get out of the car, well, that's your decision. You make that. If we go down that logical path, Jimmy, then everybody will be deciding their own law. You won't have law enforcement. You'll have anarchy. America won't survive more than a few days at best before it collapses. So, translate what happened with ICE. Now we're targeting ICE. We're trying to make sure that people understand it's law enforcement. So, hey, ICE, cop, whatever, it's all the same. Don't pay any attention to what they have to say. They're bad people. Now look what they've done. They're killing innocent people in the street. They wanted to do that for a reason, to get you to change the narrative so you don't even talk about investigating. But if you do, the American public will look at, oh, yeah, those are those bad people that are investigated. Of course, they're going to find something wrong. There's really nothing there. That is what they're attempting to accomplish. And, Jimmy, they're working very hard day and night to try to get that done, but we're not going to let them do it.
Yeah. Michael Letts is my guest. If you're listening later on the day on the stream, the podcast version, the iHeart, the Spotify, all the platforms that we're on for the podcast later on. That's the voice of Michael Letts, investusa.org, investusa.org. Michael, I don't know if I'm being a conspiracy theorist, but it always seems that about the time we're going to get a spotlight on the corruption in D.C., the corruption in Minnesota, the corruption, suddenly we get a good riot, we get a good protest, we get a good city to burn down. It seems like maybe Tim Walz, Keith Ellison, maybe some people in Washington, D.C. that are on this list are very, very happy that we have a little distraction here with ICE because it distracts from what we need to learn about these people.
No, you're exactly right. You hit the nail on the head. You could have been more accurate, Jimmy. And that's exactly what's going on. Nothing is by happenstance. It's all been planned. The problem is this, and from looking at it from our perspective, if we allow you to succeed and, okay, we're going to not move forward with law enforcement because we don't want you to have a distractive narrative, what are we jeopardizing? Well, who are we going after right now, Jimmy? We're not going after people that are just here illegally, even though, remember, that is a felony. That is a crime. We're not just doing that. What people we're going after right now are people that are here illegally who have committed major crimes, murders, rapes. Why would you want these people back out on the street to be able to go after your children, your family, your neighbors? Nobody with any right sense of a mindset would want that done. But yet, this shows you how far they're willing to go to keep the spotlight off themselves.
Yeah.
Let's concentrate on that. Let's go ahead and put these people back on the street. Let's try to make America think that they're poor, innocent people looking to create a better lifestyle, and these thugs of law enforcement officers are out there harassing and out there picking them up. And shoot, they probably would think we're torturing them for that matter, Jimmy. And that's what they're trying to do. And unfortunately, the saddest part about it is they have a choir of elected officials who, I tell people this, the elected officials you hear hollering the loudest are more than likely the ones that have the most to hide. They're the ones that are definitely trying to make sure that we don't allow law enforcement to look into their background. But just remember that you've got our elected officials that are creating an atmosphere. Isn't it amazing, Jimmy? In the old days, you were taught respect. Cop told you to do something. That's what you did. You say, well, what if he told you to do the wrong thing? We had a jurisprudence system. You took it to court. And then when court said, hey, that cop told me to do this, that's the wrong thing. If you were right, it was dealt with accordingly. Now, what is the message that our elected officials are sending? Just make the decision yourself. Don't pay them any attention. They're not worthy of respect. Why do we have cops on the street if we're not worthy of respect and our authorities not to be respected? And that's what they want. They don't want cops on the street. They want us to fall, to collapse. They want America to collapse into chaos. And that's what they're attempting to do.
It's a shame that these sheeples out there, some keyboard warriors chatted up right there, I believe. It's kind of funny to watch in the chat room, a lot of ignorance out there. These keyboard warriors are being used as sheeples. They're on the front line. These politicians, these international funds, the Soroses out there, get all these kind of domestic terrorism groups, get you ginned up, you're weak in the mind, you have Trump derangement syndrome. You think you're being Captain America, going out there and saving life, and unfortunately, you're getting sacrificed. They're sacrificing your dignity, your freedom. They're using you. You're a pawn, and you have to ask, why weren't these same people telling me to get ginned up when Joe Biden's ICE was doing deportations? They did. Why weren't these same people telling me that I should be chasing around Obama's ICE? And he was known as the deporter in chief and deported far more than Donald John Trump has. So all of these intellectually bankrupt, bastardized, propagandized fools out there that are all pissed off about Indianapolis ought to stop and think, why wasn't I angry when Joe Biden's ICE was going door to door? Why wasn't I angry that, because the media didn't show it, or maybe because your puppet masters didn't tell you to do that? These people are being controlled.
Oh, there's no question. Who they're being controlled by? This is the scary part about it. On the issue of the Somalians, people say, oh, you've got some Somalian crooks. I'm going to tell you what we're investigating now, Jimmy. It's not just Somalian crooks, if you want to put it that way. It's the Somalian government. They have set up a infrastructure, a network, and they've got some members of Congress, Omar being one of them, that have helped put together an elaborate scheme as to how to raid the U.S. Treasury, take that money, support their economy, and take a portion of it. Because you remember in Somalia, places like that, they kind of rule. You got terrorists there, and they kind of rule based on whether the terrorists let you rule it on. So what are they doing? They're taking that money, giving a portion of it to terrorists who are using it against us to be able to keep themselves in office. But it's actual governments doing this now to us, Jimmy. In the old days, that would have been considered an act of war. Why do we sit back and allow them the opportunity to do this to us? And the reason is simple, what we just talked about. They're trying to cover for themselves. Another interesting story that just broke. I don't think it's broke yet publicly, but I'll go ahead and tell you, Jimmy. You and I have a good relationship. But, Senator Kennedy, John, has just said, we knew this, Obamacare, which you remember we didn't fund at the last second. Everybody's saying their premiums are going up. We've got to do something. President Obama himself has gotten $120 million off of Obamacare. And what is his excuse? Well, you call it Obamacare. That's using his name. So that's royalties for his name. We're referring this to the Department of Justice. That is not royalty payments. That's raiding the Treasury. That's stealing from the U.S. taxpayers. We'll see how the President Obama responds as to what the Department of Justice does in the inquiry. But another point here, you have these elected officials who have just totally destroyed our economy in terms of trying to steal from us, they don't want you to know about it. So they're trying to create diversions, trying to make you think law enforcement is bad, so that they can't be proceeded to be investigated, indicted, and convicted. We got a real problem on our hands, Jimmy.
Yeah.
I made this one comment. I think you'll find this is funny. I told the president, I said, we greatly appreciate freeing countries around the globe. Let's just use Venezuela as one of them. What are we freeing them from? We're freeing them from corruption. I said, Mr. President, America seems to have the greatest corruption of anybody in the world right now. When is it our turn? When are we going to dedicate every resource this country has to freeing the American people from the corruption that now ensnares us? We're doing it across the globe. We should be concentrating on doing it for us.
Yeah, well, we should. Michael Letts is my guest, investusa.org, investusa.org. Michael, it's amazing the corruption that has gone on just in recent memory. I mean, even the corruption of the COVID crisis and the vaccines and big pharmaceuticals and Dr. Fauci and all these same people that are out there hating ICE, and they say, ignore the science. They're being controlled and not free thinkers, and we've lost the ability. That may be the public school system, it may be the university system, but there's a lot of people that don't have education, they have indoctrination, and they're not thinking freely. Instead, they're being used out there and told that you have to be angry now. But again, ICE has been an organization for many years, decades and decades, and they did more ICE raids in Obama's administration than they've done in the Trump administration. And yet these people weren't upset because they weren't told to be upset. And I just hope that there would be something that could liberate the mind. And I'm not saying you have to fall in love with the Trump or become a MAGA person, but at least have some intellectual honesty and say, you know what, I was led the wrong way to this. Some people are doing that on COVID. Some people that were hell-bent on COVID are finally waking up and realize Dr. Fauci and Dr. Birx and Mike Pence and all the people on that COVID, they all played us, and a lot of it was for the profiting of the pharmaceutical companies. And hopefully they'll wake up one day on this, because it would be a better place if they did.
Oh, there's no question about it, Jimmy. You're exactly right. I mean, it's just, we have to get to the point, and I think this is the year of destiny for America. Either we provide accountability or we don't. Jimmy, we have shown, as you just said, so much corruption. And that's just really still the tip of the iceberg. We haven't even hit the depth of the corruption yet. That we as Americans know enough that if we're going to allow it to continue with no consequences, then, Jimmy, this country is already finished.
Yeah. You still confident that some things are about to happen with the Department of Justice? The Lady Justice is about to put the blindfold back on, and something's about to happen?
You have two aspects that I'm telling your listeners to be on the watch for within weeks. We have military tribunals. People don't understand they've been impaneled. There are military tribunals reviewing situations currently, and there are federal grand juries the same. Those grand juries are not in D.C. Why would you empower a federal grand jury in D.C.? That's part of the problem. They've been empowered in southern states, and we'll leave it at that. But we expect those grand juries and military tribunals to be complete with their investigations momentarily. And there's no question from what I've seen that the investigations will yield indictments. And indictments will be forthcoming on people that we have been talking about in very high places. Now, let me remind the American public, we have a corrupt judicial system. So just because we get an indictment on you today and even a conviction tomorrow does not mean one of your friends further up the ladder could get that conviction set aside. That is why I'm pressing so strongly that we need to have military tribunals, because I believe the military tribunals will be the only way to begin with to make sure that justice is served. And I will tell you this, Jimmy, I think you know how criminals work. Once you start cracking that nut, it's amazing how that all falls in together. I mean, it's a house of cards. You pull 2 or 3 out, the rest of them collapse. So let's get started with where we can have control, which is our military tribunals. Get a few of these birds starting to sing. It's amazing what kind of chorus we're all going to hear.
I'm watching on the monitor here. There's a press conference with the mayor of Minneapolis, Jacob Frey, F-R-E-Y. He says ICE is bad for safety. ICE is bad for democracy. Hey, Jacob is a little putz guy. Did he say that ICE was bad during the Biden years? Did he say that during the Obama years? He didn't, because he's an intellectually bankrupt, propagandized fool that's been propped up by leftist money to get out there and be a mouthpiece and make an asswipe of himself. And he's doing it right now. Again, if you're squawking about ICE now, but you weren't squawking 5, 10, 15 years ago when they're doing the exact same thing, then you need to shut down. By the way, he looks like he needs a shower. I don't know if he's a mayor that sleeps in his office. He's all oily and greasy and a 5 o'clock shadow. And I don't know, did he just come home from the bar, or I don't know what happened, but the guy looks horrible right now.
That's his culture that he comes from. And that's one of the things that I'm saying. Jimmy, it's time that we don't allow foreign governments to be, and let's be very blunt. I've said this all along. Our Constitution is flawless. We've got a beautiful Constitution, but we had to put together infrastructure in order to effectuate it. Congress had to put together rules, procedures, programs, etc. Well, the people that put those together made sure that there were abilities for them to control, manipulate, and steal from. It's time, and not only do we prosecute them, but we take each one of these programs, shut it down, and start afresh.
Yep. Michael, that's a pleasure. Thanks for jumping in here, and I'm sure we'll touch base next week. Your website, investusa.org. You can see the crazies out there on the street. You want to keep law enforcement safe out there, because you do have crazies, whether they have SUVs or guns. Get them the full shooter vest they have. The crazies are out there. They've been indoctrinated. They're in the cult of the far left. They've been taught what they're being taught and given marching orders. And Invest USA make sure that the men and women on the streets get to go home to their family. All of us want I want all the protesters to go home safely at night to their family. I want all the law enforcement to go home to their families, and all the people that are here illegally, I want to ship them back to their family. I'm a family guy here, Michael. That's all I'm trying to get everybody back to their family.
I love it, Jimmy. I think you and I have hit a straight chord that will resonate with the American people. It should resonate with the left.
It should. Everybody back to your family. I think it's a fantastic thing. All right, Michael, I appreciate you hopping on here. We ought to sing Kumbaya right now. We really should. Start a campfire, Delilah. It's cold outside. Let's start a fire, and we'll roast some marshmallows and sing camp songs, and that'll be great. All right, good to have all of you here on the program. Want to remind you the Lakey Unleashed Road Show is coming up. If you would like to be a part of the road show, it's coming up January the 20th. It's going to be the first stop's going to be in Colorado, just down the road from where we broadcast from. So it's back to the scene of the original road show that we started last year on inauguration day, January 20, 2025. Well, this year we're going back to the same spot. It's a cigar lounge. So if cigars, they've even improved the ventilation for us this year. But last year was crazy. It was so packed in there and it was cold outside and you couldn't stand outside. So it was nuts. Hopefully we have a little bit better weather, but we'd love to have you there and to be a part of the program. And Casbar Cigar Lounge in Lafayette, Colorado. Admission is free, and watch the Lakey Unleashed live show. I mean, you think I'm pleasant to look at on the screen. You ought to see me when I'm in person. It's a sight to behold, my friends. Anyway, we'll hope to see you. And we also have some other stops we hope to announce very soon in various states around America. And we'd love to have you there in Colorado if you want to come into town for that. So January 20th is a week and a half away or so. It's a Tuesday morning, the 20th of January. We chose the Tuesday to kind of commemorate the 1-year anniversary since the inauguration. That's why we're doing it on a Tuesday. There's no other reason for that. You know, be good on a Friday too, but we're doing it on a Tuesday. All right. Again, if you're out there protesting, we all want you to go home to your family. We want all the ICE agents to go back to their families at the end of the day, and we'd love for all the illegals to go back to their families as well. So if everybody would just agree to that, I think we could all get along. I think that'd be very pleasant. All right, let's switch gears, if I may. I talk every day about Sherry Cree, realtor extraordinaire, and we're starting off the 2026 market in real estate. The calendar year is here, and some of you have kind of been, maybe we do want to sell, maybe we want to remodel, maybe we want to buy, maybe we want to upsize. You've got all these things in your head. Well, let's find out what the market is doing right here in the great state of Colorado. Realtor Sherry Cree is here. Good morning, Sherry, and happy New Year.
Good morning, Jimmy. Happy New Year.
Well, let's dive into this whole topic of 2026 in the real estate market, especially right here in Colorado, the Front Range I-25 corridor that you focus on. Are people like you optimistic that this is going to be a great year for real estate in the housing market?
I think so. The 2025 we just finished was a rough year with less activities on the existing home sale, but not only existing home sale, but new home construction sale, they struggled too. So the builders were throwing all the incentives to buy down interest rate, and it's still not selling as quickly as they would like. So but I just, wanted to share yesterday, our local realtor association held economic summit. And they do that every year on the first week of January. They invite real economists, including the chief economist, the National Association of Realtor Employees, and they present. It's half day from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. And they present all the macroeconomic data about at the national level. So day to day, I'm in the trenches of home sales, and then in a very small area of Denver metro area. But this was the opportunity for all of us practicing real estate brokerage to learn a bigger perspective in what's happening.
If people are listening out there, they're thinking about it. They we want to buy, we want to sell. You and I've been telling them, pick your time, make sure you're in the window of opportunity that would to take advantage of a buyer's market or a seller's market. Overall, is this going to be? You hear more stories of people moving out of Colorado. Is Colorado still a destination state where we're going to have these bidding wars on houses, or is it going to be more of a buyer's market, do you think?
Well, I think it's going to be a balanced market. And if you talk about, the biggest force is supply and demand, just before you get into very complicated, economic data, and housing is still in demand. People want to own a house, and interest rate, that's what everybody is paying attention to. Is Q4 of 25, it's like 6.2, 6.1 something. It is not a bad interest rate. And so just around me with other brokers listings and stuff, this first week of January, I hear all kinds of listings going under contract. And in fact, I got 3 buyers just reached out to me, the new client. Some are referrals, some are just reached out to me, but they are starting from mortgage application, getting ready to buy. And then first, when I start working with a new buyer, I ask them, what are you envisioning? What kind of house, what kind of area, what kind of price point. So typically, a lot of people look at Zillow websites. So I ask them, if you're looking at something online and then thinking maybe this kind of like this, just send me a link. And then all the links that each buyer sent me, they just went under contract this week. So,
Wow.
so just things are starting to move. People got used to interest rate adjusting from 7-8% to down to 6% area, and those presentations that the chief economist of National Association of Realtor, he predicts the growth rate of 2025. It was a 0% growth for existing home sale, and it was a negative 2% for new construction home sale. This is nationally. And he predicts 26 to be 14% growth on the existing home in sales, and then a 5% increase in the new construction home sales. So that is good. And inventory level at the national level is approaching pre-COVID level. So we're not flooded with inventory, and then it's not a distressed market. Also, they talked about 5-year home value increase, and in Colorado, it's 45%. So that, compared to 5 years ago, if you bought a house, pre-COVID, and then, your current value is, averaging, the 45% increase. And then on the East Coast, like Florida or like East Coast cities, we see like 70-some%. So people have home equities that unless you bought at the height of the crazy seller's market, they may be upside down. But as long as you hold on to it, the housing is in, probably balanced market. That's how I would feel.
The voice of Sherry Cree, if you're listening later in the day, you don't see it on the screen. Go to our website, homeswithsherry.com, homeswithsherry.com. Again, thousands of earballs will hear the show on the podcast, on Apple Podcast, Spotify, iHeart, so make sure you go there. Sherry, one more quick question. Some people might have had their ears perked up that you said this is the first week back to work and people are already getting offers on homes and things are starting to move. A lot of us traditionally thought, I always thought, well, have warmer weather. That's when this starts. You're saying now, it's already moving.
Yes, each area have seasonality. And of course, the sales transaction volume fluctuate. In Colorado, typically winter is not the highest volume time. Of course, the holidays nationwide, but people tends to want to move in a warmer month, and so the springtime is the high volume house hunting, writing in an offer, negotiating, going under contract, and then those transactions close towards the end of the school year, beginning of the summer break, and then people move and they do fun things. They get to do fun things like going on vacation and camping trip and stuff. But aside from that seasonality, there are always people buying a house. There are always people selling the house. So the whole volume will fluctuate seasonality wise, but it's hard to say, okay, don't list your home in the winter because you have smaller pool of buyers, but there are serious buyers that seriously trying to buy. So
homeswithsherry.com. Sherry, happy new year. We'll talk again soon. I appreciate you hopping on. Go to our website, homeswithsherry.com. She'll walk that strategy through. Maybe you're in a certain area. Maybe it's you're worried about the timing. Maybe you're worried about your first time home purchase. She'll give you the market perspective, especially right here in the I-25 corridor. If you're in, let's say, Boulder, Broomfield, Thornton, Longmont, that I-25 corridor. And by the way, she can also give you a referral to someone if there's an area that maybe she says, let me refer you here, and they'll take great care of you as well. Homeswithsherry.com. Go to our website, homeswithsherry.com, and don't put this off. Again, there's seasonality, and for some of you now, maybe the season, she may tell you that 2 months for you may be a better season, but get that perspective. And that way, again, she knows and she believes and can help you understand that real estate can create generational wealth. You just need to make sure you make the right decisions. She can help you figure out what those are. Homeswithsherry.com. All right. Anybody ever been made fun of for being too analog? Maybe your kids make fun of you because you still do things that aren't on your cell phone. There's a new trend out there, my friends, a new trend. And I'm going to get some comments on it. We'll wrap the show up here in just a bit. But maybe you thought you were out of date and you were told you were too old-fashioned because you were doing certain things certain ways. But now you could just say you're on the cutting edge. 2,000 people were asked to name the top ways that they're trying to live a more analog life in 2026. A lot of Americans with a new poll came out and said, yeah, I'm actually tired of all the digital stuff in the phone, and I'm trying to be more analog. And so, again, you've been made fun of for being so analog, but maybe you're on the cutting edge of this new trend. 2,000 people were asked to name the ways they're trying to live a more analog life in 2026. The top 10 are using an actual notebook to take notes in. Apps are great, they say, but pens and papers exist, and people say they want to relearn how to use that. A lot of folks said the 2000s said they're going to be analog by giving up the e-readers. They're going to actually read real books. They say it's time to pick up the real book, flip the pages again. a lot of folks say, I'm not going to totally ditch the iCalendar on the phone, but I am going to have one hanging up in the house like I used to. Every year, for years, I get gifts for somebody. A business will send me, the insurance guy will send me a hanging calendar. Our town will send a hanging calendar. And I never know what to do with them. But this year, actually, I did put it aside and say, I got to find a place to hang this. And I don't know why. I just felt like connected to it. Evidently, a lot of other people are as well. Another analog way that people are returning to is they're making a gesture or a time to get to not play as many video games, but to bring back puzzles and board games. Less screen time, more board games and puzzles. A lot of folks say it's no longer about my phone alarm. I'm going to go back to an actual alarm clock. And then when's the last time you went out to the mail and actually got a handwritten letter or a letter at all from anybody instead of an email, even if they typed it? Well, a lot of folks say they're going to go back to writing letters to each other. So give me the ways that you are have stayed analog. What analog habits have you hung on to? What digital areas are you trying to dump and go more analog on? Here's another one. I appreciate this one. It's number 9 on the list of the people they surveyed. People are saying, I want to go back to listening to records or CDs or the radio. People are saying I'm just, the earbuds in my ear and just playing my phone all the time, the digital MP3 file. I want an actual record. I want to pick the needle up and hear the scratch and the pop, or at least pop in the old school CDs. So that's kind of your question of the day. What would you say are the areas that you have gone back to analog at, or maybe you never went to the digital world? What area of your life are you dumping the digital in? Anybody got a example of that? Feel free to do so. I've never gone to the smartwatch. My son has a Apple Watch. And sometimes I'm fascinated by it because you can do. But I've never had one. I have a watch. They're called a timepiece, my friends. It's a quite nice one, and I wear it. But I'm totally out of the habit of looking at it, and I need to start doing better at that. But I like to wear a timepiece or a watch on my arm. I just don't use it. And I don't know if it's just too easy to look at the phone on that. But I do, the alarm clock, I do have the alarm clock there because sometimes the phone doesn't do the trick. I do have the alarm clock. So, that somebody put up the crackling of a vinyl record. A lot of folks want to go back to that. So if you've been made fun of by your kids or your grandkids because you've been too analog out there, then guess what? You were actually on the cutting edge, because there's a trend of people, even the younger crowd out there, saying, you know what, I'm going to kind of go back to some of the basics out there. What are the ways that you have dumped the digital and hang on to the analog? Love to hear if there's anything that is not on that list that you think should be on that list. Some people have also gone back to real cameras, not their phone cameras, but let's go down to the store and let's buy a real camera for real photography. You don't have to be like producer Chad, just regular people going, you know what, I want a camera. Maybe we can go back to the days of the photomat too. We got to go develop the film. I don't think we'll go that analog, but remember that you drop the roll of film off, and it was a big deal. I remember the first time they opened the 1 hour photo development thing at the mall. And you would have a roll of film, you'd take them all, and an hour later you could come back and see the photos. And anybody remember before that? I do remember a little bit that you'd have a family vacation, Mama would take some photos, and then there was a photomat booth in the parking lot near the grocery store. Remember where it's at? I don't think there's a grocery store there anymore in my own hometown. But you drop it off, go through the window, guys sitting in there, they take them, and somehow mysteriously they shipped them off somewhere. And it was a week or 2 weeks before your film came back. And when your film came back, you would get it. And now it had been maybe a week or so since the vacation, maybe longer if you forgot to get the roll of film out, and you would take and get it developed, hoping it wasn't ruined. And then 2 or 3 weeks later, so you could get a box of an envelope of film back that has developed, and it could be something that you did 4 months ago, 5 months ago. And it was always a mystery. You don't remember, you didn't know if the photo turned out, you didn't know. You had everybody together for this one time. You took 45 photos and everybody's blinking at them. And it was just luck of the draw. There was no quality control. You just had to get it from the photomat. Anybody remember that? Yeah, some people are going back to the old cameras, a traditional camera, but I'm sure they still want the digital aspect of it, I'm guessing. But, something besides your iPhone or your smartphone out there. What ways of your life are you dumping the digital And which ways are you staying analog, or which ways did you never, ever, ever go digital? Love to hear that from you. Today is also a big day in America because this is a Quitter's Day. Today is the day, if you've made it to, you've made about 2% through 2026, right? We're about 2% done with the year. So we got 98% of this year ahead of us. And this is the day that most people, this is the day, the week, the weekend that many people dump or drop their resolutions. Weekends make it harder to stick to the resolutions because, you know, you dried up for the week and you said you're going to drink less, save more money, but hell, the weekend's coming up. So happy Quitter's Day out there. This is the day in time that you are most likely to drop your New Year's resolution. It's always the second Friday in January because we can make it one weekend with no pizza, one weekend with no drinking. We can make it 1 or 2 weeks with working out of the gym, but 2 weekends in a row is just impossible. A study in 2024 found 80% of us start losing steam by Quitter's Day. So if you aren't quitting today, 80% of us are at least losing the steam. So if your resolution is still going strong, feel free to act high and mighty about it. Be pompous, be proud, be righteous about it because everybody else is about to quit. Big survey done just before Christmas found the top resolutions this year were to exercise more, be happier, eat healthier, save money. So if you want to follow the trends, make sure you get 0 exercise this weekend, eat Taco Bell, sit on the couch, feel sad for yourself, and bonus points if you waste money on delivery. Just there we go. Bonus points, everybody. Yeah, today's Quitter's Day out there. Quitter's Day. Don't quit, my friends. Don't quit. Yeah. All right. Well, if you do, I haven't started mine yet. That's the thing. This is a true story. I have, honest to God, not started my New Year's resolution. I have 1 or 2. Some things I'm going to make, but I did not start them yet. And the reason is my son has been home from the university, and he goes back this weekend, and I'll miss him. He's been fun to have around for about a month now. But our schedule when he's home is topsy-turvy, and it's bouncing. It's manipulating who's got a car, who doesn't. It would just chaos. And so there's not a lot of routine. My normal routine is upset when he was here, and it's in a good way. So what I have decided is that my New Year's resolution will begin upon his departure. That way I just kind of fall into the routine. And it's about diet and exercise. And when he's here, we eat what we want. We go to restaurants. We do our things. So I just figured it's easy for me to torture myself with diet and exercise when he's not here. And I don't have to then watch him eating all the good food. And I'm sitting over there not eating the good food or eating less portions. So my New Year's resolution has not begun, but I'm warning you, kids, it's about to. It's about to. I got it. But by design, I haven't even started it yet. So while the rest of you are quitting, I'm just getting started. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but it is true. I am just getting started. All right. I want to remind you, it's a Friday. If you get paid on a Friday, God bless you. Sorry the government took so much of your money. I apologize for that. I wish they didn't. But if you've got a couple of extra bucks, whether you got paid or not, there's a segue. You knew it was coming. Rivers Promise. That's our charity work. And we can probably differ. We can probably differ with a lot of different questions and politics, and you may have never been. I've got a friend that still is a Republican, but he can't stand the Trumpster. All that stuff aside, the bottom line is everybody on the planet, we're all God's kids, and all of us should do something to make the world a better place. And I don't know what your world does that. Maybe you work in the local soup kitchen. That's a good thing. Maybe you volunteer at your church. That's a fantastic thing. Maybe you donate to certain causes. That's great. One of the ways I'm trying to make the world a better place is keeping a promise that I made to my son that I would take care of all the kids that I was not able to adopt from Rwanda like I was able to adopt him. And I tried to give those kids a better life. Now, 15, 16, 18 years later, it's become a whole thing, and it's called Rivers Promise. We're building an entire school campus, Legacy Christian Academy. It's a whole story. It's a promise I made to my son. Now, here's what I want you to know. I would like you to know this. If you would like to partner with us, if you'd like to contribute, a little bit goes a long ways. $10, $5, $3, $65 a month is the cost of sending a child to school, to our school, providing them a couple of meals a day, for an entire month, health insurance, all the things they need. And these are the poorest of the poor. So a lot of you participated in the holiday season. I would like for all of you to participate even outside of the holiday season. If you could, go to Rivers Promise, riverspromise.org, riverspromise.org. Our K through 6 campus is up there. And these are kids that would never have the opportunity to go to school. Many of the young ladies, as they get older, realize, wow, they literally save from lives of prostitution. Boys are saved from lives of petty crime because they had nothing to do. There's no school. We put a school there, and we'd love for you to help us keep those kids in school there. They're learning reading, writing, and arithmetic. We just got word in the whole district of Rwanda that we were in. Our brand new school that's just a couple of years old is one of the top 3 performing schools in math, science, public speaking. They had contests, cultural things that we did. We're a top 3 school in that area, and we hope to be a top school in the nation as we continue to develop. So if you go to Rivers Promise, riverspromise.org, love to have you contribute a couple of bucks here and there. And we have no paid employees here in the USA. I do not draw salary from Rivers Promise. So I can say that we have people that work there. But anyway, volunteers here, producer Chad volunteers, and we all pitch in a little bit. And if you can pitch in a little bit, we'd love that as well. Riverspromise.org. It's on the screen there. All right. Glad to have you here on the show. Thanks for tuning in. If you're watching on the Rumble, good morning from Rumble. We love you Rumblers out there. Earlier this week, we got a Rumble raid, which I guess they all raid into one program. So some new folks picking up on the Rumble. Spread the word if you're on the YouTube. YouTube's been evidently quite active, producer Chad tells me this week. Some crazies out in the YouTube world. Well, the YouTube has not been our friend because every time we mentioned vaccinations or Dr. Fauci, we got banned from YouTube because they didn't want to hear any different stories besides the narrative. YouTube seems to have gotten better. I don't know what happened. Donald Trump got elected, and they lightened up the screws on us, and we couldn't do anything. You couldn't mention Robert F. Kennedy on this show, no matter what you were talking about, even a pre-recorded interview, without YouTube banning us for a couple of weeks and get put in jail. So anyway, if you're new on the YouTube, we're glad to have you. Producer Chad says we're glad to have some of you, not all of you. Anyway, I appreciate all the Facebook feeds of the Media Equalizer, Red Wave America, the Jimmy Lakey fan page, facebook.com/Jimmy Lakey fan page. X is Jimmy Lakey, Instagram. We're on all the platforms, I think. And don't forget, go like and subscribe on all the podcast platforms, which would be, you ready? Apple Podcasts, iHeart, all those things. You can find all of us there. All right, ladies and gentlemen, it is a pleasure. It's time for the meme roulette section of the show, the stolen meme section of the show, where we go around and we steal memes, intellectual property to illustrate absurdity or just make us chortle and laugh. Please join with us as we go around the globe and we steal memes, and it's the stolen meme roulette. Round and round the globe we go, where we steal the memes from no one knows. Tim Walz calls in the Somali military to fight against ICE. That's funny. That's Babylon B. That's funny stuff there. Tim Walz calling the Somali military. I wonder if you ever wonder what else Tim Walz's wife opens the windows up to smell? Earlier, during the George Floyd riot, she said she loved to open the windows up so she could smell the burning tires. And I just wonder what else she ever opens the windows up to smell. From where I live, my friends, I live in the city, but also not far from a rural area, agricultural area. If the wind blows right, I can smell the cow lot. And I don't open the windows for that. I just don't. I do not open the windows to smell the cows, but maybe she does. I don't know. They're just thoughts that I have. Round around the globe we go, where we steal the memes from no one knows. When liberals try to compare a person who tried running over law enforcement to an innocent champion of free speech, yeah, it's just shake your head at that one. You can talk about what happened. There's not a comparison, but hey, people are intellectually bankrupt and they'll create their own narrative. Round around the globe we go, where we steal the memes from no one knows. Adult life boils down to 4 simple things. Everything is expensive. I don't know what to eat. I'm tired, and ibuprofen. Yeah, ibuprofen. That's a good thing. Round around the globe we go, where we steal the memes from no one knows. When you've been eating healthy for the past 15 minutes and you still see no progress. Yeah. No, I haven't started. I know I'm behind. I've got to start my New Year's resolution, but we had plans and we eat and just kind of hang out, and I haven't started my resolution yet. It's coming. One day you're going to tune into the screen and see a skinny guy. Some of you will be. When we did the television show, Frontier Taste and Tales, they said, you're losing weight. And I said, I'm trying to. They said, stop it. No one trusts a skinny chef. Yeah, the executive producer told me to stop trying to lose weight. I also was told when I go to Africa, don't lose weight. And I said, how come? I said, I should. It's healthy. They said, no, because big people, Mzungus, white people, it's seen as a sign of wealth, and we don't want them to think you're getting poor because then they'll be desperate. They'll be sad. I said, I'm going to lose weight. Yeah, I was told that. Honestly, God, that was true. Culturally, it's good that you're a bigger guy. And I'm like, no, it's bad that I'm a bigger guy, but that's okay. Round around the globe we go, where we steal the memes from. No one knows. You ever get pre-annoyed, like you already know somebody's going to piss you off? Yeah, I know people that walk around pre-annoyed. What are you angry about? Nothing yet, but I'm finding it. I know people like that. I'm not that way. I'm a happy warrior, but I do know people like that. Round around the globe, teenagers are that way. I'm pre-annoyed. What I do, you're just my parent. I absolutely cannot wait until it's 70 degrees at night, at night and daylight until 9 p.m. again. Oh, please, Jesus, make it happen. Can't wait until that happens. So that's my fire pit. It's all frozen up right now. Hope it thaws in the next couple of days. Round around the globe we go, where we steal the memes from. No one knows. Mr. Rogers did not adequately prepare people in my neighborhood. That's true. Round around the globe we go, where we steal the memes from. No one knows. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to steal no more memes. The Chinese have jumped in here, and they gonged us out of a stealing. They say if anybody's going to steal more intellectual property, it will be us for the rest of the day. We have hit our limit on intellectual property thievery. We give credit. Come on, you know we're giving credit out there. All right, that's the stolen meme section of the show. I appreciate all of you. If you haven't made that donation to Rivers Promise, please, I would love for you to make that donation. Rivers Promise. Any amount helps, so appreciate it. $65 is what it takes to put a child into class, feed them, clothe them, everything for one entire month. If you could do 1 month, maybe you want to choose an actual child. That child will write you letters. We'd love for you to do that as well. But in the meantime, the creeks don't rise, and everybody go get along. Again, I'll say it again. I'm a family man. If you're going to protest ICE or protest the Orange Man, then just be safe. Hold your sign up, paint your hair blue, scream, get all the fat chicks out there. Yeah, do the whole thing. We get it. But go home safe to your family. Don't be jumping in front of law enforcement. That's a bad thing. ICE wants to go home to their family. You don't have to like it. They want to go home to their family. And to all of you illegals out there, we want you to go home to your family. And if that family's in Somalia, we'll pack the whole family. Everybody go back to your family. That's what we want here. We're lovers. That's what we are. God bless you. God bless America. I am Jimmy Lakey. Adios, amigos. Peace. I'm out of here.